your fitness business podcast snapshot. Today's special guest, David Meerman Scott, tells us about his latest book, Fanocracy, turning fans into customers and customers into fans. He explains the influence of proximity, both physical and virtual, and David shares advice on developing fans in your fitness business. All of that and more coming up in today's show. Welcome to the industry's leading business podcast for fitness owners and managers. This month's interviews are brought to you by our premier podcast partner, Tribe Team Training, the world-class leaders in small group training experiences. Earn unprecedented profit, gain guaranteed results for your members, and ensure the very best small group training education for your coaches. Contact Tribe Team Training today and have a conversation to see just how much opportunity there is at your fitness facility. Go to tribeteamtraining.com or click on the link in today's show notes. A warm welcome to you all, and thank you for joining me for this week's episode. Today's special guest is David Meerman Scott. David spotted the real-time marketing revolution in its infancy and wrote 5 books about it, including The New Rules of Marketing and PR, which, by the way, has sold more than 400,000 copies in English and is available in 29 languages, all the way from Albanian to Vietnamese. Now David says that the pendulum has swung too far in the direction of superficial online communications, and as you'll hear today, he feels people are hungry for true human connection. David says that organizations have learned to win by developing what he calls a Fanocracy, tapping into the mindset that relationships with customers are more important than the products they sell to them. David's book that I mentioned at the start of the show, Fanocracy, Turning Fans into Customers and Customers into Fans, is a Wall Street Journal bestseller, and it's the subject for today's conversation. Interestingly, we recorded this interview prior to COVID shutdowns across the world, and during the chat, you'll hear us talk about the influence of proximity. Now, I realize that as you listen to this in June 2020, that there is a chance that close physical proximity may not be possible in your facility right now, but it will be important for when social and physical distancing rules wind back. For now, though, take a listen to what David says about virtual proximity and the power of neuroscience. It is absolutely fascinating. Just wait till you taste it. I mean, hear it. You'll know what I mean very soon. One of the other things that I want to share with you before we start today's interview is a quote that David said to me. He said, "Humans are hardwired to have a deep down need to be part of a tribe of people." That statement leads to a very important and significant part of today's interview, so make sure you listen out for that. My interview with David Meerman Scott is coming up in less than 60 seconds' time. But first, here's a message from our podcast partner, Tribe Team Training. Tribe Team Training is a proven turnkey standalone profit center for your fitness business. Find out more, go to tribeteamtraining.com or click on the link in today's show notes. I started off this week's interview asking David to tell us about his book, Fanocracy. Here's what he had to say.
The main thing with this book is that I realized, having written 10 previous books, primarily on social media marketing, that the pendulum has swung too far in the direction of superficial online communications. And too many people are abusing the social media channel, and it's just not working as well as it has in the past. And I'm not saying it's going away, but it does feel as though it's gone too far, and people are sending yet another tweet trying to get business. They're connecting with someone on LinkedIn or Facebook and immediately trying to sell them something. And the social networks themselves are polarizing now. So the pendulum, I believe, needs to swing back to genuine human connection. And at the same time, I realized I'm a massive fan of a few things. I love live music. I've seen 797 live shows in my life, including 75 Grateful Dead concerts. And I decided to work with my daughter, Reiko. She's now 27 years old. And she's a mixed race. My wife is Japanese. Reiko was born in Tokyo, millennial woman who loves Harry Potter. So we decided to work together to write this book to help businesses learn how to build fans of their work.
Well, David, I have to tell you, as I was reading your book, and I say reading, but what I actually mean is listening, because as a podcaster, I am a huge Audible fan. So first and foremost, it was really nice to hear you and Reiko.
Yeah, we read it ourselves.
Yeah.
It was so much fun.
I love that. I love it when the author reads their book on Audible. To me, it just changes the experience entirely. So I really enjoyed it. And the reason that I thought it was so relevant for our listeners out there is because there were so many times that I thought, oh, that applies to the fitness industry. Oh, we could use that. There was time and time again throughout the book, there were things that were so relevant, even though you're talking about insurance companies and live music events and Harry Potter. I felt as though there were lots of things that people, the FBP family, will really, truly relate to in your book. And David, you just spoke about your love of live music concerts. And I've got to say, I don't think I know anyone who has been to as many of them as you have.
Well, I went to my first show when I was 15 years old, and I'm 58 years old now. So I've had a lot of opportunity to do so. But yeah, I absolutely love it.
When we think about your love of live music concerts, and when we think about Reiko's love of Harry Potter, which you touched on earlier, tell us a little bit about that. How did those personal fandoms of both of you, how did that actually influence your research and your writing and your development of the book?
Well, we decided to work together on this book project about 5 years ago because we both recognized that on one hand, the ways that companies were marketing to us weren't working as well as they could be for a whole variety of reasons, but basically because companies are just trying to sell to us. And at the same time, we both recognize that the things we love, we absolutely love. And fandom, in our case, was driving our buying decisions. We were spending money on, in my case, concert tickets, but not just concert tickets, going to restaurants before a show, in many cases, flying somewhere. Fandom drives buying decisions. I actually calculated that for the last 40 years that I've been going to shows, I've spent about $500,000 on my concerts life, and same thing with Reiko. And it's not just live music for me; it's the other things that I'm a fan of, whether that's fitness, whether that's surfing, whether that's the Apollo Lunar program. So what we wanted to do was figure out what's going on here. Is there a book here? Are these things that we should dig into? And so our thesis was that any organization can develop fans in much the way that, say, the Grateful Dead developed fans, like me, who've seen 75 of their concerts, or like Harry Potter has developed fans, and Reiko, who's read every book multiple times, seen every movie multiple times. She even wrote an 85,000-word alternative ending to the Harry Potter series where Draco Malfoy is a spy for the Order of the Phoenix, put that novel onto a fan fiction site, and thousands of people have downloaded it. So it turns out that when we did the research, the answer is absolutely yes. There are all kinds of organizations that we learned have developed fans in the same way. So it's totally applicable for any business. Fitness businesses in particular have a unique opportunity here to grow fans. And the first place that we really dug in with interviewing people around this idea is neuroscience, because Reiko, my co-author, and daughter Reiko, is a neuroscientist. She graduated with a degree in neuroscience from Columbia University and is now in her final year of medical school, and she'll be an emergency room doctor just 2 months from now. And so we wanted to know what's going on in our brain when we become a fan of something. And we can dig into some of the details, but at its core, what's going on is that we humans are hardwired to have a deep down need to be a part of a tribe of people. Because when we're with a tribe of people, when we're with our group of people, we feel safe. When we're with our tribe of people, we feel comfortable, we feel secure. And as humans, that's hardwired into our brains. But when we're with people we don't know, we sometimes feel uncomfortable because our brain tells us these people are not part of your tribe. Therefore, you need to worry because maybe they pose danger. So that's the basic idea around neuroscience and fandom. But it's hugely important for the fitness industry because if you just have a place for people to work out, or if you just are a trainer, or if you just lead expeditions for people to do fitness activities, if that's all you're doing in a transactional nature, you're not going to do as well as if you're leading a tribe of people. You're having a way to bring people together such that they're part of a group. And that group makes them feel incredibly comfortable because then their brain kicks in and says, I am part of this tribe. I feel safe. I feel comfortable. I am going to continue to spend money to have this be a part of what I want to do. Now, they're not saying that outwardly. That's happening in their subconscious. But it is hardwired as a survival technique to all humans.
David, I'm so thrilled that you brought up the topic of neuroscience, because it was one of the areas that I wanted to spend a bit of time on today, because as soon as you say the word tribe, in my head, I relate that back to the incredible feeling of being part of a group fitness class.
Yeah.
Or the feeling that instructors get when they go along to their big Les Mills programming classes and courses. It is an atmosphere that you can't describe. And you know, when I think about your love of live music concerts, I translate that to my love of being in the middle of a packed group fitness class and the energy that's part of that. And one of the areas that you talk about in the book is this influence of proximity. And I just thought it was such a fascinating concept and something, again, that is so relevant to the fitness industry. Can you explain to the FBP family what the influence of proximity means and the relationship that would have to the fitness industry?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So we really wanted to dig in even deeper to this neuroscience piece, because once we learned that we humans are hardwired to want to be a part of a tribe, we wanted to learn even more. So we spoke with a number of different neuroscientists about this. And one of the people that we were exposed to his ideas, his name is Edward T. Hall. He defined the levels of proximity, or how physically close you are to other people, as being something that's predictable. And he identified several different levels. So the first level is about 12 feet or further away from you. And at 12 feet or further away, which is called public space, we humans know that people are in our public space, but we don't really track those people or worry or pay too much attention to those people. However, social space is inside of 12 feet to about 4 feet. That's when our brains begin to subconsciously track the people that get within that space, so within 12 feet of us, because our brains need to know, are these people part of our tribe and therefore people we can trust, people part of our community, or are these people we need to worry about because they pose danger and we don't know who they are? And then even closer, inside of 4 feet, is called personal space. And personal space is where the most emotional connections happen. And the closer you get to somebody, the more powerful the shared emotions are. The closer you get to somebody, the more powerful the shared emotions are. And so what this means is that when you walk into a room, perhaps it's a fitness class, and you know those people in that fitness class, you now are having very positive human emotions because your brain says, oh, I'm with my tribe. And if it's the kind of class where you're within 4 feet of somebody else, that's the most powerful, because that's the most emotional connection. That's called personal space. Incidentally, that would imply that if you can move those machines closer than 4 feet, that's a good thing, or the yoga mats closer than 4 feet, that's a good thing. Once people know each other. However, when people don't know each other, and you get into social space or personal space, you feel vulnerable, you feel uncomfortable, which is exactly why when you get into a crowded elevator or lift, you feel as though you're uncomfortable, because your brain says, oh my gosh, there is potential danger here, because those people are not part of your tribe. So what does that mean for the fitness business? It means that how can you get closer to the people who you're working with, you're training? If you run a gym, how can you create environments for people in a comfortable way to get closer to one another? Because the more people feel comfortable, the better. And there's one more aspect of this idea of close physical proximity, and that's virtual proximity, another form of neuroscience, which is called mirror neurons. So, not so much in the fitness industry, but with many other industries, people say to me, David, this whole close physical proximity thing, I can't really do that because I run a virtual business, or I can't really do that because I have clients all over the world. I can't meet all of them in person. And so it turns out that mirror neurons can help. Mirror neurons are the part of our brains that fire when we see or even hear somebody do something, and our brains fire as if we are doing it ourselves. So I'm going to demonstrate that for you now, Chantel, and all the listeners, by taking a bite of a lemon. Wow. So when I take a bite of a lemon, it's really powerful, because it makes my eyes close, my eyes start to water, my mouth puckers up, my saliva glands are doing their thing, and it's a really powerful thing to bite into a lemon. My brain, the neurons are exploding. But just from hearing me say that, all of your brains are firing a little bit too, as if you bit into a lemon. Are you feeling it?
Yeah. As soon as you made the noise, in my mouth, I was like, "Ooh!"
I know, it's crazy, right? So
unbelievable.
So here's where this is interesting. It's interesting because if you use photographs and videos effectively, you can actually have people's brains tell them that you're actually nearby them. Because when we see a photo, or better yet, a video of somebody, and it's cropped as if you're 4 feet away, that's the personal space. You're looking at the camera. You're in a natural kind of position, not stilted and formal. People's brains, even though intellectually they know they're not next to you, that you're just an image on a screen, people's brains tell them that you're in close physical proximity. So here's how you can use this in the fitness business. I would encourage everybody, if you're not already doing it, to make sure that you have social media feeds, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, others, where you're using video and you're using photos of you talking directly to the people that you work with. If you're a trainer or if you run a gym, get those videos out there, because those are going to be very powerful ways, using a virtual way of connecting with people using mirror neurons, to get them to feel as though they're part of your tribe. Incidentally, Chantel, this explains why you feel a movie star. Intellectually, you've never met that movie star. But if you've seen them on the screen and it's cropped close sometimes, they're looking at the camera sometimes, your brain tells you know them, even though you know intellectually that you don't know them. And here's something else that I find fascinating as a proof point: Peloton. Mm-hmm. But what explains Peloton's success? I mean, it's just a freaking stationary bike that's been in gyms forever. It's simple. What explains the success is the video. Mm-hmm. Because when you're looking at that video, And you can see that trainer on the other side, and you can connect with other people. That video of the trainer is fabulously powerful because your brain tells you that you're part of a tribe. And then if you connect with other people who are also watching that same video, you are now feeling very powerfully in your brain that you're part of a tribe. So very cleverly, Peloton used these ideas in the fitness business and has built a juggernaut in terms of success simply by understanding. I don't know whether they understood the science, the neuroscience behind what they were doing when they set out to do it, or whether they stumbled into it. But there's no question that that's the reason for their success.
I'm so glad you brought up the case of this being applicable in a physical environment when we're close to each other, but also in that virtual environment, because our industry has changed dramatically in the last 5 years or so with the introduction of Peloton, but also with the introduction of virtual fitness classes.
Yes.
That has been a huge revolution in the way in which people work out in many cases. Who would have thought that when we recorded this back in February 2020, just how relevant this conversation would now be, given so much of our industry went online during COVID shutdown periods across the world? Okay, so let's now transition to this week's Keep Me Fit Bizpiration, where David will be sharing tips on how to develop fans in your fitness business.
Get your pen ready now for Keep Me's Fit Bizpiration.
The first idea is passion is infectious. Passion is infectious. And this is a really important concept that we discovered in doing our research for the book, that when you're passionate about something, that passion is absolutely infectious and people naturally want to work with you. Now, in the case of fitness businesses, it's clear that if you're a trainer or you run a gym or whatever it is that you do, that your passion for fitness has to show through. But I'm also convinced that your passion for something else should show through, so that you show that you're not just a one-dimensional person. So if you run a fitness gym, let's say, and you also love to fish, let's say, as an example, can you showcase your love of fishing, even though it has absolutely nothing to do with the fitness business? Because once people know that you're a well-rounded person, you've got other interests, they feel more connected to you. And you're not just some gym god who's got wonderful muscles because you're in the gym 24/7. You're a real person who's got other interests. Some people share their love of their family. I'm not saying you have to do that. You don't have to show us pictures of your children, but that can be extremely helpful to do. So passion is infectious. The second idea, I think, is really, really important. And that is, don't force people to engage with you on your terms. Give them opportunities to engage in their terms. And I want to give you a very specific example that I noticed today, literally today. So I went to my gym today. I go to a place called Boston Sports. It's in the town that I live in outside of Boston. And I go, I have a home gym, so I only go there for the swimming. And I went and did my swimming today, did 3,000 yards. I think I did 54 minutes today, which is pretty good for me.
Nice work.
Yeah, and with some breaks because I do some interval stuff. But as I was walking into the gym, there was a big whiteboard and it said, "Be a social media influencer for Boston Sports." All you have to do is send a picture or send a tweet or an Instagram post or a Facebook post and use this particular hashtag. And I don't remember what the hashtag was, but some hashtag. And if you do, we will give you a free t-shirt and enter you into a contest to win a free gym membership for a year. Now, here's the thing. That's coercion. It's coercion to say to your fans, if you share your love of the gym with your followers, we will give you a free t-shirt and maybe you'll win a free gym membership. On the flip side, I've got quite a few followers. I've got 128,000 followers on Twitter, for example, and I've got over 100,000 followers on the other networks combined. So I'm a pretty big influencer in the grand scheme of things, and I've shared things about Boston sports on my network in the past, but they've never connected with me as a result of doing that. They've never acknowledged me as a result of doing that. So they've got it completely backwards. On one hand, they're saying, hey, you should connect with us, and if you do, we give you a free t-shirt. And on the other hand, I'm a pretty important influencer, and I did say something about Boston sports and tried to connect with them, and I heard absolutely nothing from them. So it's very important to remember that once you put your idea into the world, your product or service, your idea, your gym, your training services, whatever, you put your services out there, they belong to your fans. And you need to recognize that fans have many, many different ways that they're prepared to engage with you. And you can't force them to engage with you the way you want them to engage with you, because it's off-putting. And my third idea is really simple, is as many videos and photos as you can put out there of you in action, the better.
David, thank you so much for those 3 points. And in particular, I just want to acknowledge that middle one that you just spoke about, because I think this is a huge issue. Because I've heard of similar situations where there is someone out there who has a great following, who is voluntarily promoting or talking about a business, but getting nothing. No thank you, no thumbs up, no love heart, no retweets. And I just think that in particular is something so simple as a business owner that we can task someone in our business, even if we're a small business. You know, we can task someone to go out and look at our social media channels and identify who is supporting us out there voluntarily, who's actually being our cheerleader and being our biggest fan of the business, and reward and thank those people. So thank you for bringing that to our attention. I think that is super important.
And you know what? And you know what? Besides that, how freaking cool! It shouldn't feel like work. Mm-hmm. It's like, how awesome is that? And at the very top of our discussion, I think your very first question, you asked me, I forget how you phrased it, but what do you like to do?
Yeah, why do you do what you do?
Why do you do what you do?
Mm-hmm.
And my answer was, I love helping people, and I love when people reach out to me, and they do. I forget how I answered the question, but they reach out to me every single day, and they do. And I may slip up now and then, but I try my best to acknowledge every single person who engages with me. And some days, like especially if I've just given a speech, or if I've recently appeared on a popular podcast like yours, I'll get 20 or 50 or 100 or even 300 people reaching out to me in a single day. And if it's 300, it's an enormous number.
That's a long day.
and it'll take me an hour to respond. But if it's 20 or 30 people a day, and that's probably average, every single one of those people get a personal response from me on whatever network it is, whether that's Twitter or Instagram or LinkedIn, whatever it is. And yes, I do slip up now and then, but for the most part, I'm pretty good about it. But what a great part of your day. It's not work. It's not a chore. And all of those are people who are taking time to talk about you, taking time to reach out to you, taking time to say, I'm a fan. And that should be the first thing you do, rather than trying to coerce people to do something that's that you want them to do.
Keep Me, smarter member retention. KeepMe.ai.
David, what an absolute honor it's been to have you on the show. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm so thrilled to have you part of the FBP family, and I know that they're going to be so grateful for the information that you have shared today. And of course, we'll be putting a link to not only Fanocracy, but all of your books in today's show notes, so that people can reach out, connect with you, and get their very own copy of the book as well. So thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure. Thank you very much, Chantel.
A huge thank you to David for joining us on the show today. Now, here's a message from our podcast partner, One Fit Stop. We'd like to thank our sponsor, One Fit Stop, for their support, and we highly recommend all fitness professionals go to onefitstop.com to find out how their software will enable you to take control of day-to-day management in your fitness business. One Fit Stop's scheduling, client management, programming, and payment collection tools will set your business up for success.
Quickfire 5.
This week's Quickfire 5 guest is Robbie Kellman-Baxter, author of The Membership Economy, Find Your Super Users, plus her new book, which is called Master the Forever Transaction and Build Recurring Revenue. Enjoy this week's Quickfire 5. Robbie, thank you so much. What an absolute pleasure it is to have you join us on the show again. Welcome back.
Oh, thanks for having me back a second time.
It has been a little while in between shows, so let's start things off with our quick fire questions and tell us, why do you do what you do?
So I'm a consultant that helps companies and entrepreneurs be more effective by connecting with their customers. And I do that because it's the perfect mix for me of helping people, of doing work that I think is in the best interest of the customers, and because it's fun and interesting.
Great answer. And tell us, what's one ritual that helps you become better at what you do?
Every day at the end of my day, before I shut down, I write a list of the top 3 things I want to get done tomorrow. And it's just a really good way to kind of close down for the day and not be nervous about tomorrow because I know what tomorrow's going to look like.
I love the clarity of having 3 things. I'm all about the 3 things as well. That's fantastic. And are there any apps or systems that you would use, and that is a system, I guess, to stay in control of your workload?
I'm a big user of lists, and I'm a big believer in kind of different sized goals. So annual goals, monthly goals, daily goals.
Great. Love that as well. And are there any books or blogs or podcasts that you would recommend that the FBP family should check out besides yours?
Besides this one. No, I was going to say besides yours.
Oh, and ours, yeah.
Which is excellent. So one book for people that, I'm a subscription expert. So for people that are interested in subscription and membership, I would recommend Ann Janzer's Subscription Marketing, which really breaks down how you communicate with your customer, not just to acquire them, but once you have them, how do you continue to deepen that relationship when you're counting on recurring revenue?
Excellent. Thank you so much for that, Robbie. And we will absolutely grab the link for the show notes so everyone can go along and check that out. And just give us a very brief overview about the main topic that we're going to be focusing on today.
Yeah, so I'm here to talk about my new book, which is called The Forever Transaction, How to Build a Subscription Model So Compelling Your Customers Will Never Want to Leave. And at a deeper level, I'm here because I'm hopefully going to help your listeners build those kinds of forever transactions with their members.
Fantastic. I am absolutely thrilled that we've got you coming back on the show, Robbie. I think this is going to be such an important episode for the FBP family. So thank you for joining us today for the Quick Fire 5.
Oh, it was fun.
Thanks to Robbie for joining us today. Now here's a message from our friends at MX Metrics. Member experience is more than just NPS. With MXM's Member Experience Toolkit, you build a unified view of the member experience, from purchase to onboarding to everyday usage and cancellation. Wire your entire organization with actionable feedback using MXN's Member Experience Toolkit. To find out more, go to mxmetrics.com. As a little preview for next week, today's Rewind show is none other than next week's special guest, Robbie Kellman-Baxter. I last interviewed Robbie way back in 2015. I think you may notice a few changes to the show since then, but I hope you enjoy this little trip down memory lane. Robbie joined me back then to talk about her book, The Membership Economy. To take a listen to that episode, go to fitnessbusinesspodcast.com and search for the episode number 21. Yes, 21. Enjoy that, and don't forget to join me next week when I interview Robbie once again. Before we finish off today, a reminder that, of course, all the resources and links for today's episode can be found at fitnessbusinesspodcast.com. Thank you to our foundation partner, Active Management. Active Management are a fitness business coaching company that help clients all over the world. And this month, I have a business tip for you all. Join the Active Management Facebook community. It's an amazing group and you'll meet like-minded fitness owners and managers from all over the world. All you need to do is go to facebook.com/groups/Active Management Community. It's a highly engaging community where JT from Active Management shares loads of resources. Things like photos from inside gyms, reasons to exercise, a monthly book club, challenges, and even ideas under $50. It's free and it is an awesome community. Once again, just go to facebook.com/groups/Active Management Community. Thank you all so much for joining me for this week's episode. We have just 2 weeks left together, so please join me again next week. Enjoy your week ahead, and remember, what you leave behind is not what's engraved in stone monuments, but what is woven into lives of others.